All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation.
1, 2, 3.
It's the Health and Wealth Show with David Ernest.
And there was much rejoicing.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Show, and there's nothing wrong with your set. That's just me and David there. How are you, David?
I'm doing good. I know that I have a blurred background here, but you sometimes in life things just look like a blur. And so what's going on here, Rusty, is people, when they hear something about individual retirement accounts and rules and regulations, it's just like a blur to them.
It's like, what? What am I going to do? It's going by so fast, it's in a blur. What can I do?
Yeah, what can you do? Well, how much can you contribute to an IRA? Well, it depends on the year and how old you are and how much money you make.
Okay, so say there's a young fella, I don't know, maybe he's 26, 27 years old, and he's got a pretty good job, and they match all his stuff at work, and he wants to roll it into a program with you. What can he do?
Well, now you're talking about rolling an IRA, or you're talking about rolling a 401k?
Just whichever he's got.
Okay. Well, as far as rolling over, the term rollover is usually used when you're rolling from a pension to an IRA. You can roll over an IRA to an IRA, but it's a completely different type of rollover. Usually when you're rolling over an IRA, it's because you have already had a check made out to you and you've put it in the bank, or you've endorsed the check that was made out to you back to the other custodial IRA company. But you only have 60 days. And here's the thing. Uncle Sam has become very, very greedy, very, very greedy, because in the last few years, I don't know how many years back it was, probably 5-10 years ago, maybe longer. I can't remember. Time's blurred. You see what I'm saying? It's all blurry. You could roll as many IRAs as you wanted, as long as you just rolled one IRA per year of that particular IRA. Then they got kind of stingy and they said, well, we're going to change it where you can only roll one IRA per year. What if you had several IRAs and you wanted to roll pieces out of those IRAs? Too bad, so sad. You're going to get whacked with a big gigantic tax and a big gigantic penalty. And if you're under 59 and a half, you're going to get double whacked with a penalty because you're going to pay an extra 10% tax. So anytime you want to do something like this, it's best you call someone who cares. And we do care at Ernest Financial. We care because we're there. And it's because we care that we're there. We're there to help. We want to help you make good decisions. You never want to be saying, why did I do that? Why did I roll that? Why did I liquidate that IRA? And there's some other things that people do that I'm just going to say ain't too smart. One of them is trying to pay off something, a house or some kind of bill, especially if the house has a low interest rate. Because let's say, for example, let's say you're under 59 and a half and you had 100,000 in an IRA and you wanted to take that 100,000 or half of that, say 50,000, whatever, and you wanted to pay off the mortgage on a house. Well, first of all, you got a problem. Now, because you got to pay a 30 or 20 to 40%, let's just call it 30%. with the penalty of 10%, and the taxes in the state of Alabama or Tennessee. Well, we're not broadcasting in Tennessee, so I guess it would be Alabama. You would probably could lose as much as 30% or more of your money. So that means for every 100,000 that you put in the house for a payoff from your retirement plan, whether it be a 401k or an IRA or whatever it is, instead of paying 100,000 for the house to pay it off, you pay it 130,000. But get this, you also did this. Not only are you paying 30%, maybe more, but you are losing money on the spread. Now, what am I talking about? If you were paying 3% interest on the house and you've been averaging 6% or more on your retirement, you just lost 3%. Plus, you lost 30%. People do this all the time, and I understand the stress that they're under. And I understand there's television people and radio people that are supposed to be experts. But I tell you, be careful when you listen to these so-called experts, because some of them are not financial people. Some of them are just dealing with real estate or something else, whatever they are. And there's nothing wrong with being a real estate expert. That's a good thing. Go to a real estate expert like a realtor when you need advice on those kind of things. Yeah. When you need advice on a rollover, go to someone who does these things, or talk to your accountant, somebody who understands what you're about to do so you won't screw up and have to pay the government more. And the government don't care. They will just say, well, too bad. Ignorance of the law is not a problem to us. We don't care. So be very careful when you do rollovers. Now, there's a lot of things you got to be careful about when you're dealing with your retirement money. It's not just rollovers, but there's some things called transfers. Did you realize that you could do unlimited IRA transfers from one IRA to the next? There is absolutely no limit on how many transfers you can make per year or per week. If you wanted to do it, you could just keep transferring around. There's no limit on transfers. Why? Because you are not taking receipt of the money. When you do not physically take receipt, which means the check that the IRA custodian is making out to who it may be, they're not making the check out to you. They're making a check out to XYZ new custodian company for the IRA, and that's just a direct transfer. Now, what happens, I get a lot of folks at the end of the year when they start getting these 1099s that I think they're called 1099Rs. They have these little codes in the boxes. You got to be very careful when you see these codes. If you see a code 7 in the box on a IRA, it means that you're going to pay taxes on that unless you come up with a good excuse. You and your accountant comes up with the idea, or what you genuinely did was you rolled it within 60 days, but it was the only one you rolled that year. Now, not just a calendar year, but your 12-month interim. That's the other thing you got to be careful about. Some people get confused. They say, well, I hadn't rolled one anymore this year. They don't care if it's January the 1st to December the 31st. What they care about, if you rolled one in July the 1st last year, you can't roll another one, in other words, have the check made out to you, until July the 1st of the next, second, I guess would be the safest way, of the next year. I mean, they have made this stuff so complicated. Why? Why do you think they want it to be so complicated, Rusty?
Well, I would just say offhand, they probably want you to slip up so they get more money.
Bingo. Bingo. That's it.
They're tricky. They're tricky like that.
Yeah. It's just so many reasons why they want your money. And it doesn't come down to, you can say it's a liberal, you can say it's conservative people, whatever, a politician. Doesn't matter who they are. They all know they've got to have money, and the IRS interprets things the way they want to interpret. Now, one of the things, and I'm just a financial kind of guy, but you can run this by your attorney or your accountant. I'm putting disclosure in there. But if you have a trust,
is that a disclosure?
I guess
didn't
so.
know I had a disclosure. I can go around just do. How you doing?
No, whatever.
Pretty good. How are you? And then you better be careful because if wrong finger jump up, you'll be in trouble.
No, don't do that. Don't do it.
No.
Anyway, people who have trust work or have own a trust. One of the things you've got to understand, there's a lot of different kind of trust, a lot, and you've got what we call irrevocable trust, which means you're supposedly not being. You better trust what you're doing because once you sign that, it's going to be very difficult to unwind that because it's irrevocable. Okay. Revocable, well, that explains that you can change it because what? It's revocable. Now you have some testamentary trust. Well, those kind of trusts usually are not formed until you ain't here no more. In other words, it's a testament that you have left behind in your will. So those are generally the type of trust. There's more. There's lots of different trusts. But when you're dealing with a revocable trust, you got to understand that you still have control of the money, which means if anybody sues you or comes after you or some kind of state, for example, Medicaid type of thing, you still have the money. Okay. So revocable trust only do practically one thing. I mean, they probably do more. Like I say, I'm not an attorney, so I know a lot about this stuff because I do it. I have to deal with it with attorneys. But I'm putting a disclaimer in there. Always talk to your attorney if you listen to me. I'm just giving you ideas. Okay. Your trust, if it's revocable, the only reason why normally you would use a revocable trust is to avoid probate and attorney cost. In other words, probate cost. In other words, if they have to walk it through probate, an attorney could get as high as 5% per se fee for walking it through probate. That doesn't mean you can't do some of your own probate or have someone who can do that. But what we see a lot of is irrevocable trust. And there's several kinds. There's some where you can, as a trustee, you can take income off of. There's some that you can't take income off of because it has to go to the beneficiary. So you just got to make sure you're dealing with the proper attorney so they know how to do this. There's some things that happen with, and Medicaid planning is a bad word. I don't do that kind of planning. I know about how to do some of this stuff. I always refer stuff to an attorney. But Medicaid planning is something that you've got to kind of dip in and try to figure out on your own. There's a lot of pitfalls in this thing. You've got to talk to an elder law attorney or someone who really knows their business when you're trying to deal with that stuff. But mostly all of that is usually using irrevocable trust and also Milner trust and also let's see, irrevocable trust, Miller trust, and sometimes, not a lot of times, what we call and a life estate. So irrevocable trust and life estates would be something that, attorneys that specialize in elder law might use, and Milner trust. Okay. You've got to make sure that you are prepared. Now, long-term care would be a very, very good thing to own. If there are annuities out there that you can literally put money into, and there's some new ones. A lot of people were buying long-term care now, and that's a good thing to buy your own long-term care policy, especially if you don't have some money saved up, especially if you're in your 50s. I think the average age now that people are buying it are in their early to mid 50s. About 20 years ago, the average person that was buying long-term care was in their early 70s. So a lot of things have changed in the last 20 years. there is a policy with it's called a companion plan, I think, or essentially you kind of pair up with the state that you live in. And Alabama is one of those states that'll do that, where, for example, you have to have so much inflation fighter on there up to a certain age. I think if you're in your 60s, you have to have some. If you're below your 60s, you have to have compounding. If you're in your 60s, you got to have simple interest. And then once you get into the 70s, I don't think you have to have hardly any of it. But anyway, you got to have that. Then you got to have so much per day, like I think it's $150 a day or more of benefit. And you got to have at least close to 3 years, okay, or more of benefit. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's say you had the 3 years at $150 a day and you had the proper compounding rider on it. And let's say that you used all 3 years up, and now you don't have any more coverage. The state of Alabama and several other states will kick in and pay for, say, like maybe another 3 years. You can go to your state website and read about this. It's on the state of Alabama's website that you can read about these companion long-term care plans. Okay. Now, there are other plans. Like I was saying a little earlier, there are annuity plans that you can purchase. And there's life insurance plans you can purchase. Now, what's the difference? Well, the life insurance will have more leverage. In other words, you might, for every dollar you put in, you might have $10 of benefit, for example. It's called life insurance, and the life insurance will pay for long-term care instead of death benefit, and it'll just subtract away from your death benefit if you were to die later. And it's all tax-free usually. But then annuities, there are some that have some slight underwriting where they ask you some, very minor questions like you had a heart attack and cancer and all this stuff in the last few years. So if you can say no to those, then you probably get, an enhanced underwriting. You'll get anywhere from 100% to 200 to 300% of whatever is in that annuity. So if you put 100,000 in there, maybe you would have 300,000. Maybe they pay it out over 3 years, and that 300,000 would probably be tax free if it was paid for the long-term care reasons. Okay. Which means normally if you'd put 100 in, you'd pay taxes on the other 200,000 if you cashed it out. Whereas in this case, if it's used for long-term care, the taxes would go poof, it'd go away. Now, that's the annuity versus the life insurance. Life insurance, you got to go through more heavier underwriting because why? Because it's life insurance. Okay. Now, let's say that you were a person who had absolutely no hope of being underwritten. Let's say you're about to be carried off to a nursing home or something, and you really need to have some kind of plan. Well, other than the Medicaid and talking to the elder law attorney and get hopefully you'd been talking to the elder law attorney before the 5-year lookbacks are going to kick in. Okay, it's very complicated, but you could probably look at a long-term care annuity. There's one company that I know of. I can't mention the name of the company here. You can call me and I can tell you that will guarantee issue you as long as you have $50,000 or more. And if it comes out, then to pay for long-term care costs, whatever the growth is, would always be tax-free. Now, one of the other things I want to talk about long-term care annuities is that you cannot put your IRAs in them. I mean, I've not seen one yet that you could. You can't put retirement money. I mean, the only way you could put retirement money in one is to pay the taxes first. Now, why do you think the government made that rule? Think about it for a minute. Why would they would not let you put money in that you owed tax on in the future into something that would make the taxes go away?
Oh, I get it. So they get the tax money. So they can give it away to somebody overseas or somebody that hates us. They could, like Senator Kennedy said, they could hate us for free, but our government wants to give them some money, so they'll hate us and we have to pay them.
I guess you could say it that way. Hate us and they got to pay. But so, what they want to do is just take the deferral and make it go tax-free only if you are ill enough that that could happen. Otherwise, you're just tax deferred. Now, in life insurance, the advantage of the life insurance policy is that if you die or get sick, it's always going to be tax-free payout, usually under the new policies. It gets kind of complicated, I mean, it really does. And that's why you need to talk to people like us. I mean, like insurance, annuities, guaranteed retirement. We've got some bonus annuity companies that will just knock your socks off. I can't tell you the name of them. I can't tell you the percentage of the bonus, but I can tell you, you wouldn't hardly believe it if I did tell you. So, really, you probably need to give us a call. And the stock market, let's talk about it for just 1 second. Could it crash? Could it? Yeah. And you see all of these things that are going on right now with predictions out there of the markets going down maybe in the near future. Maybe it'll be another year. Maybe it never happens, but I just don't believe that. I just don't believe that the markets can get this high and not, I mean, like it's about like pie in the sky right now, and not have some kind of adjustment, and that's why older people need to be concerned about their money if it's in the market. I've got a lot of people coming to me lately because I'm an asset preservationist, talking to me about, hey, I listen to you on the radio because we broadcast now in about 8 states. And we're out there, if you're riding down the road, you turn the radio on, you might hear us. We are determined to help people not lose their assets. And it's just very important that you get the information you need. But a lot of people are just not prepared for long-term care. They're not prepared for things that could go wrong in their health. We don't charge any fees. We're in the insurance business and the investment business, so we don't charge any fees at all. We deal with stuff only that cannot lose money. That's what we deal with. We deal with stuff that can never lose money. And sometimes Rusty and I get off on, some kind of funny track, and we love to be comical. This is kind of like I told Rusty before we had this TV show. This particular show today is that we were going to try to be a little serious. And, so surely we can be serious a little bit.
We can. And don't call me Shirley. There we go.
I knew you'd say that.
And if you've seen, I'm going to tell you, if you've seen my teeth, let me know. I just realized I'm a senior citizen now. And I got some, they're gone. I can't find them.
Well, at least you didn't lose your mind.
Well, maybe I don't know. My teeth might have been lodged in my mind or something. I don't know. Been looking everywhere for my teeth. It's just,
well,
one of those things.
You still got your hair, don't you? I mean, some of
it. Well, not a whole lot of it. I think a lot of it fell out, but I still got hats. So hats are my friends,
Yeah,
but,
well, I still got some hair, but it sure did turn white.
Yeah, you're white haired
here over 40 years. I guess it turned my hair white.
Yeah, that'll happen when you mine was getting it was long. It got long since the last time we'd been on television, and then a lot of it fell out and it got darker again. And I was like,
how'd you pull that one on?
I don't have any idea. Now the beard got pretty white, and I have not. I have not
got dark in it now.
I have not had a haircut in 5 years.
I was thinking about letting you play Santa Claus on our next event, but you've gone from white to black. I don't know. I mean, they're darker.
Well, just call me Kamala. Anyway, that's a whole different story. We get phone calls. And to our lovely lady friend who I hope she sees us. I hope she's well, and I hope she's doing okay. She'll probably call when she sees us and start giving us up the road about
Well, we didn't do
but,
so much of political stuff. So,
well, yeah, but that's okay though. I just hope she's doing all right,
yeah, I
because she
hope
would
so
see
too.
us on TV and it would just agitate her so.
I get it. I get it. But we're coming to the end of the show. I guess we got a minute or two.
We got a minute or two left. Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously, on a serious note, if we can get back to being serious a little bit.
Okay.
There are some uncertain times in front of us. We don't know what they're going to be. We
Yep.
don't know, we know that all of us are going to, meet in the here yonder, wherever we're going. I'm not going to get into that, but you really got to be prepared for the here and now. What they're going to do to you for the here and now. In other words, are you going to have your ducks in a row so that if something happens, you don't have to lose what you worked so hard. Maybe you wanted your husband or your wife to get it, or your children. There's things you can do to do that. Long-term care is one of them. And do you maybe you don't want to lose your money in the stock market, your pension, your 401k, your IRA. I'm an asset preservationist. I can have insurance companies add big bonuses, and we can go up if the market goes down, up. If the market goes down, we don't go down any. So, and then we can rebonus some of your money. So it's just very important that you get this information. And we need to put out a number to call us.
Yes, we do. We've had it running across the screen so that people have seen it, but let's go ahead and say it. This is the toll-free number. I don't know if we've been on the television since we had the toll-free number, but this is the toll-free number, 833-596-7233. That is toll-free from anywhere you hear us. You can call us. If you were in the deep, deep jungles of the Amazon and you had a phone, you could call us toll-free on that number. So call us up, get yourself that no obligation consultation set up. Go talk to David and see what he can do to help you keep your assets right where you need them, and they'll be there for you when you get ready to retire.
If you got $50,000 or more to talk to us about, we'll give you. I mean, you can have less or more, but if you've got 50,000 or more, we will give you $40 to go, a $40 coupon to go eat at the Texas Roadhouse, just for talking to us about your money. That's a pretty good deal right there. And there's no fee. We don't ever charge a fee, so it's free to talk to me.
All right. We're out of time, David. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the Health and Wealth Show. See, she should go right there.